So, let's talk about Gustav Stresemann. He's a huge figure in the story of the Weimar Republic, the man who was really in charge from 1923 to 1929. He took over a country that was completely falling apart. But the big question we have to ask is, did he actually create a golden age, or was it all just built on sand?
I mean, just think about it for a second. How do you save a country from total collapse? Because that's the job Stresemann signs up for in 1923. He becomes chancellor right when Germany is in an absolute freefall. The economy isn't just bad, it's a catastrophe. You've got foreign troops on German land, and the government itself is about to implode. Seriously, it's a job nobody would want.
To really get a picture of it, imagine your money becoming so worthless that people are literally using it for wallpaper. That was hyperinflation. As if that wasn't bad enough, French and Belgian troops had marched in and seized the Ruhr, which was Germany's industrial heartland, completely paralyzing it. All the while, the government is fighting off rebellions like the Nazis' Munich Putsch, and it's being crushed by these insane war reparations payments. It was just total, utter chaos.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll look at just how bad things were. Then, we'll dive into Stresemann's economic and foreign policy fixes. After that, we'll take a hard look at this so-called golden age and see what was really going on. And we'll wrap it all up with a final verdict on the man himself. Okay, first things first. We've got to look at Stresemann's emergency economic plan. He had to act fast, and he had two massive, tangled-up problems to solve. Money that was worth nothing, and an economy that was at a standstill.
You see, the problem was this vicious, self-destructive cycle. Germany was printing tons of money to pay workers in the Ruhr who were on strike against the French occupation. But all that new money just caused hyperinflation, and the occupation itself had shut down the country's most important industrial area. They were completely trapped.
So, what did Stresemann do? His solution was honestly incredibly bold and super direct. To kill hyperinflation, he took a massive risk. He just scrapped the old, worthless currency. He brought in a new one, the Rentenmark, and had all the old money recalled and destroyed. Then, to fix the Ruhr crisis, he did something really unpopular. He called off the strikes and promised the French that Germany would start paying reparations again. And this is where it gets complicated. There was a huge trade-off here. On the one hand, hey, the plan worked. Inflation was stopped, the new money was stable, and the French troops packed up and left the Ruhr. But on the other hand, the German people never forgot that their life savings had just vanished into thin air. And a lot of them didn't see ending the strikes as a smart move, they saw it as a humiliating surrender to the French. So, with the biggest fire put out at home, Stresemann then turned his attention to Germany's problems on the world stage. The country was isolated, and it was drowning in that mountain of reparations debt. He knew Germany couldn't fix itself all alone.
You can really see his foreign policy play out in three key moves. First, in 1924, you get the Dawes Plan. This made the reparations payments more manageable, and crucially secured huge loans from the U.S. A year later, in 1925, came the Locarno Pact, where Germany and its neighbors basically promised not to invade each other. And by 1926, the progress was clear. Germany was welcomed back into the big leagues, joining the League of Nations.
But that reparations problem, it just wouldn't go away. This was the original number from the Treaty of Versailles. I mean, just look at it. It's an absolutely astronomical sum that was basically poisoning everything the Weimar Republic tried to do.
So right at the end of his career, in 1929, Stresemann gives it one last shot to finally deal with the reparations issue. This was called the Young Plan.
And wow, the impact was huge. The Young Plan slashed the total amount of reparations by almost 2/3. From a diplomatic point of view, this was a massive victory. For the first time, the debt actually looked like something Germany could maybe, just maybe, pay off.
But back home in Germany, the reaction from the right wing was, well, they were furious. Their view was that Germany shouldn't be paying a single mark in reparations. The idea of still paying up until 1988 was just an insult. Nationalists and powerful army generals looked at Stresemann's diplomacy and just saw weakness. They wanted to rebuild the army and take back lost land by force.
Okay, so the economy is stable, and Germany is back on the world stage. This leads to the late 1920s, a time that looked like a real boom period, full of creativity and prosperity. But here's the big question. Was this golden age really all it was cracked up to be?
I mean, if you just looked at the surface, things looked great. German culture just exploded. You had incredible new art, groundbreaking cinema, and bold architecture. The American loans from the Dawes Plan were funding a construction boom, building new roads, schools, and houses. American companies were setting up factories, which meant new jobs, and for a lot of people, wages and pensions were finally going up. But the guy who made all this happen, he saw the truth. He saw the danger lurking right underneath everything, and his own words are pretty chilling. Gustav Stresemann warned, "Germany is dancing on a volcano." He knew this whole recovery was incredibly fragile.
So what exactly was this volcano he was talking about? Well, the biggest problem, the absolute #1 threat, was that the whole German economy was running on short-term loans from America. If those loans ever stopped, the whole thing would collapse. But that's not all. You had farmers who were really struggling, unemployment that was always high, and rich industrialists who hated paying higher taxes for all the new social programs. And get this is a really key detail. Even during the best years of the so-called Golden Age, unemployment never ever dropped below 1 million people. The fact that it actually started to creep back up in 1928, that's before the Wall Street crash, that tells you everything you need to know about how shaky this recovery really was. Okay, so let's step back and tally the score. We've looked at the absolute mess Stresemann inherited. We've seen his solutions, the good and the bad, and the cracks under the surface. So what's the final verdict on the man? Success or failure? Let's look at the balance sheet, because this is really what it comes down to. On the plus side, he stopped hyperinflation, got the Ruhr back, slashed reparations, and made Germany a respected nation again. He even won a Nobel Peace Prize for it. But on the flip side, the economy was totally dependent on American loans, German society was still deeply divided, farmers were in a terrible state, unemployment was always a problem, and he was absolutely despised by powerful nationalists who thought he was a traitor.
And that's really the great puzzle of Gustav Stresemann, isn't it? The rest of the world saw him as a hero, a man of peace. But back home, many powerful voices called him a traitor for working with Germany's old enemies. There was no doubt he pulled Germany back from the edge of the cliff. But the republic he saved was built on borrowed money and borrowed time. So, what do you think? Was he a brilliant pragmatist who did what no one else could? Or did he just delay the inevitable collapse? That is the ultimate question.